They told you money was just a tool, something neutral, something you could control. But if that were true, why does it feel like it controls everything? Every morning you wake up because a machine tells you to. You rush through traffic not to chase purpose, but to chase payment. You eat without tasting, speak without meaning, and fall asleep with a mind that never stops calculating. Not because you are greedy, but because you are surviving. And in this world, survival has become a full-time job. You say money does not control you, but look closer. Your alarm clock, your commute, your emails, your dinner plans, your arguments, your health, your marriage, all of it revolves around one thing. Not your dreams, not your values, not your soul, your bank account. Its balance quietly dictates your decisions, your emotions, your sense of worth. And the most dangerous part is how normal it feels. We live in a system where money does not just buy goods, it buys dignity, it buys respect, it buys identity. It decides who is heard and who is ignored, who gets to rest and who is forced to keep moving. And yet almost no one questions the price they are paying to stay in the game. We were not born obsessed with money, we were taught to be, conditioned to chase it, programmed to believe it was the answer, when in truth it became the question we are afraid to ask. How much is enough? What are you trading for the next dollar? Your time, your health, your freedom, or worse, yourself. Marcus Aurelius said you may leave this life right now, and that truth should determine what you do, say, and think. But for most people, it is not mortality shaping their actions, it is their checking account, their unpaid bills, their mortgage, their fear of not having enough. You are not living each day as if it might be your last. You are living each day as if your debt might be. That is the illusion. Money is treated as a resource, but it has become a religion. One we worship with our attention, our time, and our choices. We bow to it every time we stay in a job we hate, every time we ignore our children to answer another email, every time we silence a part of ourselves just to stay safe, stay employed, stay responsible. This is not about hating money. It is about seeing what it has become. When a number in an account determines your self-worth, when the pursuit of more replaces the search for meaning, something is broken, not only in the system, but in how we see ourselves. Because when your life is being driven by something you do not control, you are not living, you are complying. Can you really call it your life? The truth is, most people are not chasing wealth. They are running from fear. The fear of being left behind, the fear of not being enough, the fear of falling out of the game. But what if the game was rigged from the start? What if it was never about making enough, but about making sure you never feel enough? Because if they can keep you striving, they can keep you spending. If they can keep you spending, they can keep you scared. And if you are scared, you will never stop to ask the one question that could collapse the entire structure. Why am I doing any of this? The world has trained you to believe that money is safety, that control is peace, that survival is success. But Marcus Aurelius saw the trap, and he left behind a reminder we keep ignoring. You may leave this life at any moment. So why are you letting your bank balance decide how you live it? Because the tragedy is not that money matters. The tragedy is that it matters more than meaning, more than truth, more than presence. Slowly and quietly, you trade away the parts of yourself that cannot be bought, all for the illusion that someday you will finally have enough to start living. But someday never comes. Because you were never taught how to live, only how to earn. Money by itself means nothing. It is paper, metal, digital numbers in a database. It has no ethics, no soul, no intention, but society gave it one. Over time, money stopped being a tool and became a measure of virtue. We no longer see it as a resource. We see it as a reflection of character. If you have it, you are seen as intelligent, driven, worth listening to. If you do not, you are labeled lazy, irresponsible, or worse, irrelevant. That is not accidental. That is how the system trains us to think. Not because it is true, but because it keeps us obedient. Somewhere along the way, we stopped asking what kind of person someone is and started asking what they earn. In that subtle shift, money became moral. Rich came to mean right. Poor came to mean failure. Simplicity became surrender. Wealth became the ultimate proof that you were doing life correctly. According to a 2022 Pew Research study, 61% of Americans judge a person's value by their ability to make money, not by their kindness, integrity, or depth of thought. For most people, your bank account now speaks louder than your character. That belief poisons everything. A brilliant teacher working 2 jobs is seen as merely surviving. A hedge fund manager exploiting economic loopholes is celebrated. And no one stops to question what that says about the world we have accepted as normal. A parent who chooses time with their children over climbing the corporate ladder is often pitied, not admired. A writer, an artist, a thinker, if they are not monetizing their work, are told it is a hobby, not a real contribution. But Marcus Aurelius warned us against chasing other people's definitions of worth. If someone despises me, that is their problem. My only concern is not doing or saying anything deserving of contempt. In other words, your job is not to impress the world. It is to remain aligned with your own principles. Try telling that to a culture that treats money like a scoreboard, as if numbers define purpose, as if income equals insight. So we quietly raise everything that does not convert into dollars: empathy, creativity, presence, wisdom. These things cannot be measured by profit, so they are undervalued, dismissed, forgotten. This is how money becomes a god, not because it deserves worship, but because we stop believing in anything else. And when that happens, people stop living honest lives. They chase the appearance of success instead of meaning. They compromise what they love for what pays. They silence their real selves for what sells. They trade truth for status. The tragedy is not that money has power. The tragedy is that we gave it moral authority. We let it decide who matters, who wins, who is heard. And we rarely stop to ask, what if we have been revering the wrong thing all along? Because character cannot be bought. Wisdom cannot be deposited. Integrity does not appear on a credit report. And when your compass points toward wealth, you stop asking what kind of soul you are becoming. You only ask what kind of deal you can close. That is how the system works. It rewards the external and ignores the internal, until one day you wake up with everything society told you to want and realize you have become a stranger to yourself. So the question is no longer how much is someone worth. The real question is, what are we even measuring? And it does not stop with how we measure others. It goes deeper into how we measure ourselves. You tell yourself you are not chasing wealth. You just want enough. Enough to feel enough to stop worrying. Enough to finally rest. But here is the trap. Enough is a moving target. Every time you approach it, it shifts. You get the raise, but the house now feels small. You pay off the car, but the newer model looks better. You earn more than ever before and still feel like you are falling behind. Why? Because you were not trained to feel abundance. You were trained to feel lack. There is a name for this cycle. In behavioral psychology, it is called the hedonic treadmill. As income and lifestyle increase, expectations rise alongside them. Happiness resets to baseline. You adapt, you want more. And the treadmill speeds up. You work harder, achieve more, buy bigger, and feel just as restless, just as anxious, just as empty. That is not an accident. That is the system functioning exactly as designed. Because a content person is hard to manipulate, but a person who always feels slightly behind will keep spending, striving, consuming. That person fuels the machine. From the moment you wake up, the world tells you what you lack. Advertisements remind you what you do not have. Social media reminds you who you are not. Productivity culture reminds you that you have not done enough. And the success stories you are shown are not meant to inspire, they are meant to exhaust you, to keep you chasing a version of life that looks full but feels hollow. We replace needs with cravings, security with status, sufficiency with ambition, and we call that progress. But Marcus Aurelius warned us centuries ago that limiting your desires also limits your suffering. In other words, if you want peace, you must know where to stop. But who teaches you how to stop? Where is the class on contentment? Where is the instruction manual for saying, this is enough? You will not find it. Because teaching people to be satisfied does not sell. Instead, we are taught to feel ashamed for wanting less, to apologize for choosing simplicity, to see quiet joy as a lack of ambition. But maybe stepping off the treadmill is the most radical choice of all, saying no to the chase and yes to your own pace. Because here is the truth. No number will ever make you feel complete if you were trained to feel incomplete. And no lifestyle will satisfy you if you were conditioned to keep upgrading. The system keeps whispering that more is better. But your soul knows something else. Your soul is asking, what is the cost? Your time, your health, your presence, your relationships, yourself. And when the treadmill finally stops, when the noise fades, will you even recognize the person you have become? Because you might be richer than ever and still not feel whole. So the question is no longer do you have enough? The question is, what did you give up to get there? Do you even know what enough feels like anymore? Because the greatest cost of endlessly chasing more is not material. It is existential. The longer you run towards some distant financial goal, the further you drift from the present moment. You do not live today, you endure it. You treat the present like a toll booth on the road to your real life. You tell yourself, once I reach that number, once I hit that milestone, once I finally feel secure. But security never arrives, and while you wait, something subtle begins to fade. Your ability to be here. You become a ghost in your own life, physically present, mentally elsewhere. You sit at dinner while your mind runs budgets. You take a vacation while thinking about bills. You look at your children while replaying financial what-ifs on a loop. And the longer you live this way, the more disconnected you feel, not only from others but from yourself. This is not just metaphor, it is biological. Neuroscience shows that chronic financial stress hyperactivates the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and threat detection. Your nervous system stays locked in low-grade fight or flight, constantly scanning, reacting, bracing. That hypervigilance comes at a cost. Studies show that financial anxiety reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for focus, long-term planning, empathy, and moral decision-making. In simple terms, the more you worry about money, the harder it becomes to concentrate, to connect, to think clearly, or to act with compassion. So while your bank account may be growing, your capacity to live well is quietly shrinking. You become more reactive, less present, more efficient, less man. Richer in numbers, poorer in spirit. And here is the irony. The very things you are trying to earn more of, peace, freedom, fulfillment, are being drained by the way you are earning them. You were taught that life happens later, that if you sacrifice the present now, you will buy joy in the future. But later is just another form of postponement. And postponement becomes a way of life. We were not built to live in hypothetical futures. We were built for presence, for wonder, for connection, for now. But when money becomes your lens, everything else blurs. Beauty becomes background noise. Silence becomes uncomfortable. Stillness feels like laziness. And without realizing it, you become a stranger to your own existence. Always scanning ahead, always just out of reach. Marcus Aurelius warned of this trap centuries ago. Do not waste what remains of your life guessing at other people's souls instead of attending to your own. Yet that is exactly what we do. We trade inner clarity for outer comparison. We neglect the soul for the scoreboard. We let spreadsheets decide what our lives should feel like, and we call this responsibility. But real responsibility begins with presence, with choosing to live, not merely survive, with asking whether this moment is worthy of the life you are trading for it. Because in the end, your life will not be measured by net worth. It will be measured by awareness, by connection, by how fully you inhabited the moments you were given. So the question is not just how much do you have. The deeper question is how much of you is still here. You were told money was your tool, something you use to build a life, create options, shape your future. But somewhere along the way, the roles reversed. You no longer use money. It uses you. You plan your week around it. You shape your values around it. You say yes to what you hate and no to what you love because of it. You sacrifice your time, your truth, your peace, not for joy or meaning, but for income. And the most dangerous part is that you call this normal. You call it being responsible. But be honest. How many people stay in jobs that drain them just to keep the paycheck coming? How many accept projects they know are unethical because the bonus is too large to refuse? How many stay silent when they should speak because truth pays less than compliance? We tell ourselves we are in control. But if you cannot say no, are you really free? If your choices are shaped by fear of losing status, security, or salary, then who is deciding, you or your bank account? Marcus Aurelius said it simply: "He who is not free from desire is a slave, even if he is an emperor." In other words, when your inner compass is ruled by wanting, chasing, craving, you are not the master, you are the servant. And today, money is not just a desire, it is the desire that organizes all others. It tells you what is worth your time, your energy, your life. It whispers just a little more, even when it already has everything. That is not freedom. That is bondage dressed as success. And let us be honest, this is not about luxury or greed. Most people are not chasing yachts. They are chasing the ability to breathe, to sleep at night, to feel like they matter. That is what makes this trap so powerful. It wears the face of necessity. But when necessity becomes an excuse for self-betrayal, we are no longer surviving, we are surrendering. You were not born to trade your soul for a salary. You were not meant to outsource your values to market forces. And yet people do it every day because they believe they have no choice. That belief is the lie. The lie is that money is neutral, that it does not care how you get it. But you care. Your conscience cares. Your soul cares. And every time you compromise what you believe to protect what you have earned, something inside you goes quiet. Over time, it goes silent. Eventually, you can no longer hear yourself at all. The system prefers you obedient, predictable, afraid. Because someone who fears losing income is easy to control, but someone who knows how to walk away is dangerous. That person is powerful because freedom is not about having more. It is about needing less. It is about knowing when something is not worth the cost, even when the money says it is. So ask yourself honestly, are you working toward the life you want? Or are you just trying not to lose the life you have built? Because if you are too afraid to stop, to enter, engelled to walk away, too dependent to tell the truth, then money does not serve you, it owns you. And that is not success, that is servitude disguised as stability. So the real question is no longer how much do I make? It is how much of myself have I given up to make it? Which brings us here. If money was never meant to be your master, if enough is a moving target, if presence was traded for pursuit, if security was used to sell submission, then what now? What does real freedom actually look like? Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics answered that question with ruthless clarity. Freedom is not about what you accumulate, it is about what you control. You cannot control markets, inflation, recessions, interest rates, or chaos. You cannot predict returns or outsmart uncertainty. But there is one thing you can control: yourself. You can decide what is truly enough. You can define success by alignment instead of status. You can choose principle over pressure. Stoicism is not apathy. It is not pretending money does not matter. It is knowing what matters more and refusing to trade your soul for what does not. So here is the practice. Simple, but not easy. Each morning, ask yourself, if today were my last day, would I still use money to do this? Would I still take that job, accept that deal, chase that status, delay that dream? Or would I slow down, simplify, and live as if the moment in front of me were enough? Because it is. And maybe that is the most radical act in a system built on endless more. Not rebellion, but intention. Choosing your own pace. Drawing a hard line between what you need and what you were trained to want. Creating a fixed standard of living instead of a rising one. Rejecting the lie that your life must expand endlessly to be valuable. It does not. It never did. Marcus Aurelius said it plainly. Wealth consists not in having many possessions, but in having few needs. That is not resignation, that is power. The kind of power no market, no recession, no system can take from you. Because when your peace does not depend on profit, when your joy is not hostage to external conditions, When your identity is rooted in values instead of valuations, you become unshakable. The world will still pull at you. Advertisements will still whisper. Culture will still demand faster, higher, more. But inside you will know the truth. You were never meant to be a number, or a role, or a price tag. You were meant to live fully, freely, presently. And the path to that life does not begin with more. It begins with less. Less noise, less craving, less fear, more clarity, more presence, more soul. Because true freedom has nothing to do with how much you own, and everything to do with how little owns you. You do not need to master the economy. You need to master your mind. You do not need to predict the market. You need to clarify your priorities. You do not need to control the future. You need the courage to live now. And no, you do not need to queue. You quit your job, sell your house, or disappear from society. You only need to retire from the lie that money gives you freedom. Because freedom begins the moment you stop trying to buy it, and remember you were born with it.